KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, a community-owned and operated hospital. Here for you when you need us. From emergency care to routine checkups and screenings, caregivers are here and ready to provide the safe, high-quality care you need close to home. Online at sanjuanregional.com with the latest health information and resources to help you live life better here. KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. The interactive art of Artrageous, Saturday, May 21st at 7:30 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or at 505-599-1148.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullop, along here with Scott Michlin.
Good morning, Megan Cullop. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Here we
that
are.
I'm here with you.
That you're
on
here
a Friday.
on time. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, here we are. It is the That's Interesting show back again. I think this is show number 3.
Is it?
I think so.
I thought we were on 4.
I
don't know.
think so. I think it's only 3.
So we're still fresh. We're still green.
Oh, yeah.
Getting our sea legs.
That's right. Exactly. But this is the Friday show, That's Interesting, with Scott and Megan. And that's when you get to call in and be part of the show.
That's right.
Because we want to find out what's interesting in your world, what you'd like to share with our audiences. So that is kind of what we're doing this morning and this week. Every other week, That's Interesting. And then, of course, every other week, it's Solutions from the Street.
That's right.
Which is also interesting.
Yeah. Usually it's all interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So next week we'll have another solution.
Yes.
But this week it's all about what's interesting in your world. And so as we wait for folks to call in, give us a call, radio audience. You can call in to 505-566-3909. 566-3909. Call right in or just call in and say hello. Wish us a happy Friday.
We love that.
I'm okay with that too.
Me too.
You know,
I love a good happy Friday.
Yeah, but there you go. So what's interesting in your world from the last week or so?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I have some research that's interesting.
Do you know that you've done or that you've read about?
Well, I've read about.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I didn't do it myself.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So there's a TED Talk that I saw.
Right.
And we know what that is. They're brief little lectures of sorts, but they're pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
And this one was about a neuroscientist who had a stroke, and in this experience, she realized like she didn't really realize where her body ended and where something else began. So kind of all of the boundaries flooded away, and she felt like, man, I'm just like a ball of energy. Like I have this feels like I'm connected to everything, and this is weird, a very weird sensation. On occasion, she'd go back online and be like, I gotta call an ambulance, but then would be sucked back into sort of this she talks about being connected to this universal oneness or something. It got pretty new agey.
Yeah.
Anyway, in investigating sort of what happened, the blood clot was in the upper left part of the brain, which is the frontal cortex, which is what makes us uniquely human, really, because it's our ability to plan and think and executive function and think about the past and plan accordingly and all that stuff. So when that was injured, all of a sudden these other parts of her brain went online, and it's sort of thrust her into this sort of brotherhood of man type feeling, right? So anyway, by extension of that, there's been some talk about how inflammation, which remember COVID caused inflammation in the brain.
Right.
Remember all that?
Right. Swelling of the brain.
Swelling of the brain.
That sure.
When that part of the brain is damaged in some way or inflamed in some way, all of a sudden this right side of the brain is turned on, which is that more intuitive, creative, kind sort of part of the brain. It's less I and more us. Focused.
Okay.
So anyway, she's got a book called Whole Brain. I haven't read it. I've just heard people talk about it.
Okay.
But
you read this article about this research that she's done, huh?
I saw the talk, yeah.
Oh, the talk, I'm sorry.
TED
Talk, that's right. Got it. Interesting.
It's pretty crazy.
Well, the brain is really interesting to me.
It's the most fascinating.
We don't really know. We know a lot about it, but there's still a lot of stuff we don't know
Yes.
about the brain. And specifically kind of what you're talking about, right? Is how different parts of the brain maybe fill in if part of it's damaged or not available or whatever, right, at certain times. And so other parts can kind of kick in and help. I think a lot of the body is like that too in some other fashion. But that's really different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
wow.
So that was cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
That was interesting.
And is she doing more research, or is she just
so she wrote this book about her own experience mixed with her research, because she is a neuroscientist. So somehow she was able to rehabilitate and get all of that back.
I was going to ask you if she's recovered.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Right.
Because it was pretty major. She lost a lot of she lost language ability and all sorts of abilities, and has since returned.
Relearn it.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Good for her. But interesting that that she's discovering that and maybe using that to learn more about brain function.
I know, right? Using her personal experience to learn more, which is always kind of inspiring too when people do that.
Right. Well, and again, we hear a lot about injuries to the brain, and for some people who maybe can't recover as well, it's or hard for them to explain what they experienced or describe what they remember, or if they even do remember anything. And so this sounds like one case where that's pretty good. We're able to get some good data maybe from what she experienced.
Yeah, she's able to tell the story and plot it out and remember it, and it's like,
wow.
I know that's a pretty calm, cool, and collected approach to a massive stroke.
Right.
Be able to keep this together. Yeah.
Good for her. Amazing. Well, I feel bad that I don't have as good a story as you do to share with everybody this week, but that's okay.
I just have friends who read a lot.
Well, that's good. That's good. I probably need more friends who read a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I spent 4 days in Las Vegas at the National Association of Broadcasters convention, which was earlier this week, and just got back last night. And it was interesting. It was smaller due to COVID, as it had been, but it's the first time they've held it since 2019. And normally in 2019, attendance was about 90,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. This year was about 50,000 they were estimating. And you could see the difference on the floor. It wasn't as crowded, which I was grateful for, because, I'm still a little wary of a bunch of people, but there were still 50,000 people there. And of course, Las Vegas is crowded and busy, and the city looked busy. And of course, today and yesterday was the NFL draft, so they were starting to talk about that, and people were starting to come into town for that event that was just all over the place. So really interesting to see all that activity.
I didn't know they did the NFL draft in Las Vegas.
I think this is the first year they've done it.
Oh.
There. So that's why they were all excited about it. And there were a lot of events and venues that were popped up and, things along that line. But it was interesting. But, this is a conference about kind of the future of broadcasting, what's going on with broadcasting. And so, of course, here at KSJE, we are a non-commercial radio station. The NAB really represents a lot of commercial broadcasters, but still some of the same goals and trends apply, obviously, for radio. So it was really interesting to see.
Yeah. What is the future of radio?
Well, I think that was what they're trying to figure out, right? Is that, where does radio fit into the mix of mass media? And I think there's obviously a lot of push for online, doing what we do already with, streaming platforms and online properties and things like that we have with our website and social media and reaching out through video. All those things were kind of the buzzwords that I heard, walking around the show. Obviously, a lot of focus on video. There's a lot of work being done on virtual video. So it's for television, and radio, and podcasters and all this other stuff. But a lot of work on virtual sets. The green screen, behind you, and you can put in a different background. There was some really cool technology about. We watched one, and it was a set of a young lady, a real young lady, on a stage with a green screen, and then what superimposed the background was kind of a night street scene with maybe some flashing lights and black and just flashing lights. And what they were able to do through the technology was to actually have the lights being reflected like off of her body, off of her hair and face. So it looked like she was actually in the scene, even though she wasn't. And there was no flashing lights on her face, but it was in the video.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool.
Made
it look more realistic, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it was interesting. Rode the Loop in Las Vegas. Are you familiar with that? You're not familiar with that?
No.
That is the Elon Musk transportation endeavor in Las Vegas. He is the Boring Company, Boring, is drilling tunnels under Las Vegas. And so they have 3 stations at the gigantic Las Vegas Convention Center because it's so huge. And so there are 3 stations underground, and you get into a Tesla and you drive from underground from one end of the convention center to the other. There are 3 stations you can stop, and then eventually they want to extend it into downtown and other places to the airport and things like that. But the ability to drive like underground with, I think they're supposed to be self-driving Teslas, although we had a driver, so I think they're still working out the kinks in that.
Right.
But some kind of mass transit option.
Wow, a Tesla mass transit option. I mean,
Yeah.
what will this guy do next? I mean,
I don't know, right?
Space, tunnels,
yeah.
PayPal.
Well, he was going to buy Twitter, and now they're saying he may not buy Twitter.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear
I thought that
last
was
week?
like a done deal.
Well,
I thought they
think
accepted
he made it.
the billions of dollars.
I think they
offer.
did, but then it kind of went back and forth. I'm not sure where it is today. I haven't checked
Interesting.
yet, but he may not be buying Twitter after all.
Did you know he's an autodidactic?
I'm not sure what that means. So
Self-taught.
before I say yes, I don't want to insult the man.
Self-taught completely. Self-taught
yeah.
himself how to read.
Okay.
Didn't go to school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did not go to school.
Wow.
Just.
Well, I mean, say what you will, he's very successful, obviously.
I like him. I'm a fan of people that have that much of a drive to be like, what other cool thing can I do? I mean,
Right.
he's just like, at this point he's so rich he can basically choose what he wants to do.
Evidently. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think there are a lot of people that love that about him, but maybe also people that maybe hate that. It's all about him, maybe self-promotion a little bit too much.
Yeah, he's probably a narcissist.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely has done a lot of things. And so, I mean, he has this company in Las Vegas that's drilling holes in the city underground. The whole Tesla thing, the SpaceX thing that his companies are part of, right?
Right.
And sending off rockets and
Right.
sending people into space for tours and things like that. So a lot of different things, a lot of different irons in the fire, and probably more that we're not aware of.
Right.
So,
Oh, I'm sure he's always cooking up something.
yeah. So interesting.
And
But-
this all started with PayPal.
Right. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, no, that was his origin story was PayPal.
Right. And now PayPal's pretty...
It's kind of archaic. I still use it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be the go-to way to pay for stuff online
Yeah.
for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So that's certainly grown. And I remember back when didn't even want to put my credit card number on the internet.
And now you're just filling out forms with it.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
On the streets.
Pretty much. That's true. That's true. We do have a phone call.
Oh, great.
How about that?
Yeah.
Right? Shall we go to the call? Let's go to the call. Let's go to the phones this morning. And good morning. You're on KSJE. Thanks for calling in this morning.
Well, thank you for having me, Scott.
You're welcome.
And Megan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Johnson.
Hey, Jennifer Johnson.
Hey.
Thank you for calling in. What's going on? What's interesting in your world?
There are always interesting things in my world, but I wanted to reach back for a little bit of history that's interesting. So I'm going to give you guys your choice. Would you like to hear the history of the bean sprout or why purple is the color of royalty?
Oh, my. Two
I feel
good
like-
choices.
Yeah, I feel like I know why purple is the color of royalty, so I'm going to go with bean sprout.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's go with that.
So I learned this from my friend Ming Tsai, who happens to be a famous master of Asian cuisine. And apparently he has familial roots to the segue between bean sprouts and Germany, because after World War II, one of his related family members, Dr. Chen, who was a chemical engineer trained in Germany, had a claim to fame for inventing the process that turned rubber trees to paper, by the way, super ups to him for that. But then he also was approached because the submarines wanted to figure out how to have fresh vegetables on the subs, and he decided that bean sprout had an ideal growing environment on a submarine because the conditions should be dark and cool. In fact, he also found that by controlling the temperature at 50 degrees, he could make a fatter body and a shorter stalk so that you could grow twice as many. So unfortunately, they ended up deciding that they didn't really need the fresh vegetables. But then after World War II, a bunch of bomb shelters happened to be up for grabs, and they were also the ideal growing conditions. So he became known as the king of bean sprouts because they were in such high demand at Asian restaurants in Europe. So he filled those World War II bomb shelters with bean sprouts to bring more fresh vegetables to the world.
Wow.
See?
Is that interesting?
That is interesting. Who knew?
I didn't know. I
Who
especially
knew?
didn't know they grew things on subs.
Right. Well, apparently they don't.
Well, apparently they took a hard pass later because they're like, bean sprouts? I was looking for a potato, bro.
Right. That's right.
It still ended up spreading its glory throughout Europe.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother had a thing for bean sprouts at one point and growing up, and so every closet shelf had a bottle or a little like canning jar of bean sprouts in them at our house.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
From time to time. Yeah, and you'd open the closet and there'd be like a bottle of bean sprouts staring you in the face. And that's what we had for a while in my house. And I never developed a taste for them, much to my mother's chagrin, but she put them on everything. So
they're apparently wildly healthy and sadly probably not the favorite of vegetables amongst the vegetable abhorrent. Otherwise, I'd say it's probably one of the easier ones you could grow yourself.
Yeah, well, definitely. She did it all the time. I know. It's amazing. So we have
Very
that.
nice.
But there you go. Well, thank you for sharing that interesting factoid with us this morning.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Would you guys like a dad joke on your way out?
Yes.
Oh, I think we
Classic
would.
Jennifer Johnson.
Sure.
Do you know what you call a good-looking pig?
Good-looking pig, with or without lipstick.
Ooh.
Just kidding.
It depends on if it's for shade or not, I suppose.
Okay. I don't know
handsome.
what.
Handsome.
Handsome. Yep.
Yeah.
She warned us.
She did warn us.
She warned us. Yeah. All right.
I didn't say it was a knee slapper.
That's okay. We can hear the groans.
Next time you want to have a kid, next time you want a kid to call you cringy, just use that.
It doesn't take that for a kid to call me cringy, but okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
My pleasure.
Okay.
For the rest of your day, I'll have something more for you next week.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right.
Have a great
Thank
week.
You, Jen.
Appreciate that. All right, there you go. See, thank you, Jennifer, for getting us going. Handsome. Get it?
That is my favorite type of pig.
Right, a handsome pig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pig in the form of ham or bacon.
Okay. There you go. Well, that means we have room for another call, right? You can give us a call.
Good luck following up the bean sprouts.
That's right. But you can give us a call and tell us what's going on in your world this week, what you find interesting. That's the idea of the show, right? Or just call up and say hello. Or talk about Elon Musk.
Talk about
Love
Elon
him,
Musk.
hate him.
Right. What do you think about him?
Yeah.
I
exactly.
like a good
Twitter,
drive.
Love it, hate it. We can talk about Twitter too. You're
so
on Twitter. You tweet more than I do.
I like Twitter. So Twitter is my favorite social media.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love two things about it. One, I love that I get connected to news articles very easily. Like, here's the tagline, click here.
Yeah.
I like that. So I consume a lot of news. Like, The Atlantic is on Twitter. Obviously, The New York Times is on Twitter. Whoever is on Twitter. Everybody's on Twitter.
Seems like
then,
it.
And then there's just a lot of quippy people it's really funny. It's like 140 characters and it's a huge laugh. And so it's a lot of bang for your buck. Like, I've seen a lot of funny things on Twitter.
A lot of snark on Twitter.
Yeah, there is.
There?
You kind of have to wade through. There's some negativity and you just kind of ignore that. And,
Okay, right.
I ignore
Sure.
the smut.
I think, well, like any social media, I think you can get in. I mean, it's just all around, unfortunately. And so depending on what you follow, it kind of shows you what you like or what you gravitate towards.
Right.
And so there's that. So when you're looking at media, are you trying to get a balanced media diet, or do you have your favorite sources?
So my favorite source is The Atlantic, and that's long form journalism.
Sure. Right.
So, and some of it is news related, and some of it's just topic related. I'm trying to think of, like, the most recent Atlantic article I read was on happiness, but it was about, you can't pursue happiness only like just a self-focused happiness. That it's best to pursue like contentment, which is something different. And what's different about it is contentment doesn't rely on external circumstances. Happiness, it's a short kick, it's a sugar rush, but it's not long lasting. But if you can somehow cultivate contentment, then that's a better life. So
interesting.
You can read stuff like that, or you can read stuff about, like obviously during COVID, it's like every 2 seconds there was something COVID related. So that is my favorite news source.
Okay. All right. But I like this whole happiness versus contentment discussion, because I think that's really interesting as well, because as you mentioned, right, maybe happiness is more outside influences and contentment is a more internal, happy with yourself, maybe kind of a thing, the way you look at your situation or look at others, that kind of
it's a more wise mindset, right? It's a mindset that says, essentially it says like, there's always going to be something wrong, and there could be little things or massive things, but like the world is not perfect, your life is not perfect, situations do not turn out perfectly. How do you find contentment in that? So it's connected a lot to acceptance. Like there's things that we have to accept that we can't do anything about, and there's things that we can do a lot about, and we have to accept ourselves through the process of doing things. So it's very, there's a lot of philosophical stuff on that. In that periodical. So
I like that.
It's one of the few ones that I actually subscribe to, so I can read more than 3 articles.
So they get money from you.
Yeah, they actually get money from me.
See, that's important in the media landscape these days, right?
I know
that's really interesting.
Yes, yeah. So as far as balanced, it's hard, as we know, algorithms.
Yes.
And they dictate what you see. So if you read a news article,
you click a lot of athletic articles, you're getting a lot more links to those, right?
Right. So it's hard to do that. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Twitter. I sometimes get just bogged down into it as I'm scrolling through, and I don't follow a lot of people because I don't want my whole feed just filled with a lot of stuff, right? And so, but I do see some of those algorithms and some of those other articles, but I don't know. I'm not sure I'm using it right. Maybe I am.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
It is my favorite.
There is a lot of funny little replies or other things on there that I've noticed too that I do appreciate.
Yeah, there's some funny people on Twitter.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I replied to you once or twice.
You have. You liked it.
Yeah, do that.
Whatever.
Sure.
The little heart.
Little heart, exactly. Called you out once or twice.
I think so.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I think you have.
So there you go. But that's okay. What's your favorite social media, everybody? You can call us and let us know. Maybe it's Instagram, or maybe it's Facebook, or Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok.
Oh, wow, yeah.
All of them,
So
right?
I have not engaged in the TikTok.
You have not?
And I do not.
No?
I do not frequently use Snapchat, except for our caller, Jennifer Johnson, is very Snapchat active. So there's a couple people that like to use it.
Right.
TikTok, I have no idea what's going on there. I have no clue how to use it, what it is, really. I've stayed off of TikTok, but now Instagram,
tell us you're old without telling us you're old.
I know, right? I'm totally out of touch. I mean, it's so easy to become out of touch.
Yes.
Right?
True.
You miss it.
Well, yeah.
And there you go. So, but I think Instagram has Reels now. Have you seen these?
I've seen them mentioned, but I don't know if I've actually watched anything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's kind of like a TikTok, but on Instagram, I think.
No, that makes sense.
I don't know
a
how
short
to do
video,
it. Yeah,
maybe
it's
a short video. Okay, so that wouldn't work because we're long video.
We're
this show,
like long form journalism. We're long video,
right?
Long form video. Yeah. So I mean, again, it's something that I never use, but I've just noticed that it's a thing now. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're trying to keep up, I guess, with TikTok and stuff.
Well, there was the other service called Vine. Remember that? That was a short video service, right? There was like 10-second video
When I worked
clips.
with youth, that was their thing, was Vine. So
right, but that's gone.
That went away.
That was yesterday's
replaced.
news.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know.
This is a Facebook town.
We are. That's true. San Juan County and the Four Corners definitely, I think, uses Facebook a lot. Now I don't know about the kids. What they're using. I don't know. But certainly mom, dad, and businesses are using Facebook.
Yeah, I don't think the kids are using it. I think, when I have like an event or something, like Facebook is like the avenue to get the word out.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. And it works, even we use it, obviously.
Right.
So there you go. I mean, the pros and cons. right?
Always.
Fortunately or unfortunately.
Right.
So,
I mean, we've had a fair amount of experience with trolls.
yeah, right.
So.
But that's on every social. I think you find that everywhere. I
Yeah.
think Twitter has a lot of trolls.
A lot of trolls. Yeah.
Yeah, and Facebook too. You know, and we're grateful that we don't get a lot of that yet on our pages.
Nope.
So-
Only a few times.
Yeah, so that's important. That's good to know. Speaking of events, let's put a plug in for your event that's coming up this summer again, right? Because
Well, we have two plugs. We have the KSJE event,
We have the KSJE event. That's true.
and then we have the Basin Good Neighbor Foundation.
Right, that event too.
NeighborFest.
Yeah.
So the event you're talking about in relation to me is called NeighborFest, and
Second
it
annual.
is second annual. It's a benefits concert. So we have a couple of bands, and there's food trucks available. There's a cash bar available, and it has this very casual. It's supposed to be a casual block party type vibe. All the proceeds go directly to the foundation, which the foundation is established to support hospice patients who would not be able to be on hospice if they didn't have that foundation. So
Right.
it's very simple. It's somebody comes to us, needs hospice, that they don't have insurance, or they're underinsured so they can't afford it. The foundation steps in, pays for them to be on hospice services.
Right.
So-
Very helpful, very important. I think very needed in our community for those folks that don't have the resources for that really important end of life kind of care.
Right.
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 And so it's a nonprofit foundation.
Nonprofit.
You are their executive director.
I am.
And so that's a really cool thing. It's going to be, what's the date? And it's going to be at a new location this year.
Yeah, so it's going to be at Lions Wilderness Amphitheater this year. So, and people might know that as Sandstone because that's where they
Right.
do those productions.
Yeah.
And it's August 6th. It's a Saturday, 5 to 8 p.m. So Saturday night, it's
Okay.
a great way to
There you go.
spend the time.
Perfect. A couple of bands. Do we know who the bands are yet?
We do. So Black Velvet out of Durango, they're a duo that plays a lot of different genres together. It's a man and a woman. And then Desert Thunder, which is a full 4 or 5 piece band. They play a lot of a mix between rock and sort of country rock. So it's a pretty. They're both very different. So hopefully people can find something they enjoy in one of those sets. But
Right.
they're both good.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And then the other event that you're talking about is our event
Yes.
here at KSJE, May 21st, which is the return of the 0 Mile Fun Run, which is your way to support KSJE. And so you can get your T-shirt and register now. It is literally 0 miles. And you can go online to ksje.com/funrun and register today. It's $15 today, $20 on the day of the race. We'll be there at 10:30. You can pick up your T-shirt. You can run the race, the 0 mile race, as many times as you want, and support
You can turn it
KSJE.
into 3 miles. It's up to you.
Yeah, you can just run in a circle.
That's right.
You know, it's okay. But it's a fun event. We're glad to be able to bring it back, and it's a great way to support KSJE for as little as $15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
again,
and
same
you get a great
thing,
T-shirt.
all proceeds go to the station. So
Yeah.
nobody's getting a cut of either of these events. It's all going to the intended
Yes.
purpose.
Well, and that helps keep programs like this on the air and other shows that we do on KSJE. So you're helping to keep us going, and we really appreciate that. So
right.
that's important as well. In addition to the show tomorrow, you have a show tomorrow.
We do. I mean, I do. I have a show tomorrow.
It's a music show.
Radio Free Saturday Morning.
Yeah.
Which is a music show.
Right.
What makes it different than a lot of music shows is that we take deep dives into the stories behind the songs, the meanings behind the songs, the life of the artist behind the song. So it's really. Do you remember VH1 pop-up video?
Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
like that, but on a radio show. So you have these factoids and interesting
You're not interrupting
things.
the show with your
No.
thoughts, though, like pop up. You're just going to
No.
do it at the beginning or the end of the music.
Right. We
Yeah.
play 3 songs,
Yeah.
and then
There you go.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it makes it a little different. So
Okay.
no genre, and also what makes it different is it's format free, which is a radio term for no genre.
You never know
specific.
what you're going to
You
get
never know
when
what
you
you're
tune
going
in.
to
It could be,
get.
and it could be a country song backed up to a rock and roll song or a folk song.
That's right. Or
Yeah.
Even sometimes a classical song makes
Yeah.
it in there. So.
Right. So, and usually there's a theme. Is there a theme for tomorrow's show?
There is a theme, and tomorrow's theme is.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, it's Earth because I'm a week
Oh.
late on Earth Day.
Right.
But it's never too late to sort of celebrate the planet.
Okay.
So it's Earth Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. 9 to 11, Saturday mornings, everybody. on KSJE, or you can stream us, ksje.com, and hear it wherever you are on the planet.
Exactly. Anywhere with the internet. I mean, that's what's amazing about going back to the radio broadcaster convention.
Right.
That's why online's cool.
It is. And, and they were talking about that. They were talking about that a lot. So interesting. And a lot of conversation about the car dashboards. How about that, right?
What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of conversation about, that automobile manufacturers don't have to put radios in cars. They do it because it's an option, or was an option originally, right? But it's just a thing that people want. But now with connected cars and streaming, there's a concern that what if Ford said, you know what, in 2023 we're not going to put radios in cars anymore. We're just going to make a dashboard that you can connect your phone to it and use your Pandora or your other stuff. And what does that mean to the radio people?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I know, right? Well, that's where the
radio in the car.
People are concerned about that potential, but I don't think it's going to happen. But, but they're competing now. If you have a newer car, right, you do have options for what you listen to in your car, because there's Bluetooth and there's ways to hook up your phone,
right,
and apps
Apple
now.
Connect.
Yeah. And so I think that's the other concern for broadcasters is what can we do to make the in-car listening experience, compete with the Pandoras of the world, or the iHearts of the world, or things along that line.
Yeah.
So, that kind of thing. That's what we talk about. So. Anyway, there you go, everybody. I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
This week, right?
I think so.
Another interesting show.
Always.
Learn about bean sprouts.
I know.
And more.
Jennifer Johnson.
I know, right?
It was thorough, too.
Very thorough. Very detailed.
Very detailed.
Almost too detailed. I'm not concerned about her, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Do we need to talk about your obsession with bean sprouts?
That's right. That's true. So anyway, everybody, thank you for joining us. Next week, it is Solutions from the Street here in the same time slot on KSJE. We always ask if you have an idea for a solution, you can give us an email. You can send us a message.
At ksje@sanjuancollege.edu.
There you go. And let us know if you think about a solution. But please mark your calendars. We'd love to hear from more callers. We know you're out there. Give us a call.
We know that there's not
on these
just
shows.
one person listening.
It's not just Jennifer.
No.
Yeah. So you could give us a call. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with another edition of That's Interesting on KSJE. But until then, be well and be safe, everyone. And we'll see you next Friday with Solutions from the Street. Bye-bye. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, a community-owned and operated hospital, here for you when you need us. From emergency care to routine checkups and screenings, caregivers are here and ready to provide the safe, high-quality care you need close to home. Online at sanjuanregional.com with the latest health information and resources to help you live life better here. KSJE is proud to support Riverfest, Memorial Day weekend, May 27th, 28th, and 29th on the banks of the Animas River in Farmington. Enjoy all-day music, food, beer gardens, vendors, crafts and raft rides, the recycled art show, and the plein air painters. Riverfest, a jolt-worthy event, proudly hosted by the River Reach Foundation, sponsored in part by the City of Farmington and the Farmington Convention and Visitors Bureau. Find out more at riverfestnewmexico.com. San Juan College present the Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week. Week 14, reward yourself and take breaks. Studying can be draining, so treat yourself for a little motivation. Buy a coffee from your favorite coffee shop or get some study snacks from the campus convenience store. You can also reward yourself by taking breaks for activities you enjoy, like walking, reading, or watching TV. Adding in a reward will give you something fun to work toward. Taking breaks is important too. Breaks give you a boost of productivity, reset, and prevent burnout. It might seem like you need to use all your time you possibly can to study, back to back, but your brain will start to slow down if you don't give it a chance to relax. Taking breaks can help you get the most out of your study time with the least amount of stress. The Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week, presented by KSJE and the Student Achievement Center at San Juan College.